Now, that was really good. But I think that there was a few people in New Zealand that didn't hear us. So, good evening, friends! Good evening and welcome to Littleport Christian Spiritualists. It's a pleasure to welcome you all here. For those that have never been before, yes, I do have a certificate to allow myself out of the asylum, but it is only for a few hours on a Thursday. But everyone, welcome. And of course, let's welcome everyone watching at home, online, or in the future, because that can happen too. So remember, we're live on Facebook and YouTube, so please don't swear. And please remind me of that later on while I'm doing the demo. So welcome everyone and thank you. And what a night we've got planned for you tonight. We've got a couple of readings, we've got healing, and of course we've got Bully's special prize, which I have to say is she's outdone herself tonight. Exceptional piece of artwork there, encaustic art. Feel free to Google. And of course, I should be saying, and now I'll introduce our medium, Tara Rice. Yeah. But unfortunately, she couldn't make it tonight. Tara is unfortunately poorly. So when we do send out our healing thoughts, please send your healing thoughts to Tara in particular. At this time, but we do send our love, darling, and if you are watching, kiss. And of course that means that after a quick ring around, it was decided that I'm doing the mediumship tonight. So usually at around about 8:10 you get some peace and quiet from me for about 45 minutes, but not tonight. However, you do get a couple of brief respites from my vocals. We've got Alan all the way from up north online waiting with his reading. Sam is of course going to give us a reading as well, and of course there will be that golden few moments of silence where we send out our healing thoughts. So friends, to tonight, let's start in the traditional old-fashioned way of starting any divine service by joining together in simple and beautiful prayer. As we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother, God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as friends, to unite under your banner of love and hope and friendship, that we might witness the proof and the truth that life is indeed eternal. We place this service in your care and keeping and make the statement as ever that everything that is done will be done in the name of love, in the name of truth, and in the name of light. Amen. Amen. Well, now friends, this is the point where I usually do a bit of philosophy. Now, you might be thinking, oh, Lazzie's going to do the mediumship tonight. We might get away with not listening to him for the next 10, 15 minutes. What do you reckon? No, there's always something to say when it comes to spiritual philosophy. There's always something new and important that should and could be imparted from the world of spirit, because let's face it, not everyone is going to get a message. Certainly everyone watching at home isn't going to get a message from spirit, but you do. Every single week there is always a message from spirit by means of spiritual philosophy. I don't sit at home writing and scribbling. I mean, where's my notes? Where are my notes? I haven't got any. That's why I don't sit at home and write, or regardless of anything, even think about what it is that I'm going to say on a Thursday night. Now, there are various different types of address in spiritualism. See, I told you it might come up because we was chatting earlier on and I was talking about the differences between addresses. In spiritualism, we have what's called an inspired address. That's what we call it. We like to keep things simple. But of course, in fine old traditional Christian fashion, there are another two types of addresses. One is called a homily, and one is called a sermon. Now, I'm sure we've all heard the word sermon. You know, old Nick's going off on one, he's going to sermonize us again, you know. But there are different and subtle meanings behind those phrases that identify what type of address it's going to be. But the truth is they are all inspired. Whether one sits and writes it all down and reads from an autocue or a piece of paper, it's all inspired by spirit. The biggest difference, of course, is that we spiritualists tell you that it's coming from somewhere else and not from our years and years of practiced learning. Because to stand up and here, see, now we're tying you in, to stand up here and say that I know everything about spiritualism would be an absolute shambolic lie. I don't. But I do have friends in high places who do. And they will drip feed me information as the day and the weeks go by. And I can then share it with everyone. Because whether you've been coming for 20 years, whether you've been coming for 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. There's always something new to learn about our way of life. So a sermon is, of course, something that is based on scripture. So you'd pick a passage in the Bible, you'd read that passage out and talk around it. A homily is based more around the experiences of the day. And today I got stuck in a tree while trying to rescue a saber-toothed tiger. It was dangerous, but here's the spiritual meaning behind that. An inspired address can quite often be a combination of the two. So I try so hard not to pin down what I'm going to do on a Thursday other than calling it an inspired address, because Spirit will tell me what to say. I didn't suddenly think of these words at home and that's how I'm going to start off. I knew roughly where I'd begin, but I have no idea where we're going. So it's always an adventure and always a journey. You see, my friends, in this world, we expect everything to be scripted, perfect, written down, all prepared, all planned. Whether that be those who believe in destiny and that you are destined to be here listening to these words tonight. Whether we believe in the cold, hard dice throw of chance, that was what was intended to be, and that one day a 6 will roll, one day a 5 will roll, and eventually you'll end up here based on whether that number comes up. But in life, in social media especially, everyone expects everything to be just so. Everything expects everything to be just written. I will be honest and confess, purely for lighting purposes only, because I work upstairs in a very dark corner, I've got one of those circular light things that you can put your phone in when you're doing a video. And it's not for vanity, darling, because trust me, it would take 10 ton of polyfiller to get this face camera ready. But everything's just got to be perfect, hasn't it? You know, the words have got to roll off the tongue. The newscasters have got to say exactly the right things. We expect that one day a politician will say the right thing. You know, when we talk about spiritual hope and all that, well. But the point is, life isn't scripted. The world isn't scripted. Yes, there may be a grand design about everything. We as spiritualists believe in the fatherhood of God, or as I prefer to call it, and you can tell that my mentor was definitely an extreme feminist, the parental love of God, because there's the mother and father aspect of that creator being. So if there is a parent in the world of spirit watching over us, surely there's got to be some sort of organizational structure to the world. Talk to any parent and find out if there is a manual, a plan, or a design on how life is going to go. They'll say, nah, no chance, mate. I wouldn't know. But I do see it around me in the world. Life will always throw you a curveball. Life will always throw you something new to understand and learn. But the most important lesson of all is that as much as there is a creator being who had an idea and said, let's try this, as soon as he threw the switch, or she, as soon as it, so correct pronouns there, as soon as that being in the universe said, let's throw the switch, give humans free will, send them down to Earth, let them get on with it, all bets were off. We make our own destiny. We make our own fate. The reason I do my addresses in this way is because there is no script in life. That's not always a great thing, because we know that sometimes things can go, for want of a better term, a little bit car. And it does. But think about those things that slow us down. Think about those things that frustrate us. Think about those things that have given us pain and grief in our lives. Would we be the same person without those experiences? Would we be able to help people going through those experiences unless we'd experienced them ourselves? We could try, but a little bit of perspective, a little bit of context is always a lot better than a few fluffy words and a few go-to phrases that everybody says. Life is about being on the road, and you don't know what's around the corner. You could pop a tyre, as one of our mediums experienced the first time he ever visited us. A deer could run out in front of you and right off your car as it runs away off into the distance laughing at you. True story, it happened. Just ask Carlos Gillion, bless his heart. But it's how we deal with what we get thrown that matters, not what actually happens itself. And it's not to say that we must be proud and perfect in how we actually deal with being thrown a curveball, because you can't be perfect all the time. I try so hard, but it doesn't work. It's the fact that you get up, get back on your feet, and keep on going down the road. That's what really matters, friends. That's all that matters. And I know that in spite of what every single one of you in this room, everyone watching at home, everyone who will watch at home, you've all been through the mire. But you're actually still sitting there staring back at me, which means this morning you got up, which means this morning you got ready, which means this afternoon you took that decision and said, do you know what, I'm going to go and have an hour and a half getting my ear twisted by that weirdo in a dog collar. You made that decision, you made that choice to stand up, get up, and keep moving. As the song says, you got your motor running and you head out on the highway, because every single day we do it. I'm just the same. It's the morning. Ring, 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 ring. Oh, snooze, 5 minutes. Ring, ring, ring. Oh, snooze, another 5 minutes. Ring, ring. Oh, damn it, I'm 10 minutes late already. Never mind. Here we go again. Off we go. But you know what? That point when I actually stood up and said, you know what? Come on, off we go. I made a conscious choice to get on with it and do something. And we all do that. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how hard it is, we all make a choice to stand up and keep moving. My friends, there's only one thing guaranteed in this life. The only thing that matters is how you handle things. You're all still here, so you're handling it. Give yourselves a break. Give each other a break. Because no matter what, when it comes to religion and spirituality, yes, people perceive there to be loads and loads of rules that you must follow. Thou shalt not do this, and thou shalt not do that, and thou should do this, and thou should do that. There's arguments and disagreements about how we should say thank you to God for being alive and all of the wonderful, fun things that get thrown our way. There's arguments about what the name of God is, what face God has got. Do you know what? It doesn't matter. It really, really doesn't. All that matters is that we get up, keep going, and be nice to each other. Who cares about anything else? In my life, I've experienced quite a few homilies and sermons thrown at me, a few chapter and verses, usually the same ones, and usually they're from Leviticus or Corinthians. I've always got an answer to come back with, by the way, but that's experience. But do you know what? I don't throw back, well, if I'm not allowed to live with a man called Nigel, you can't wear mixed fabric cloth, because let's face it, that's just petty. My answer is context is king. Because in the world in which we live now, the world is very, very different to the world in which people who wrote down those words were living in then. Words have changed, meanings have changed, but I tell you what hasn't changed. Every single day, from the beginning of time, every single human being has made the choice to get up of a morning when the sun has risen above us and said, hello, wake up, you lazy Watsits. Get your backsides moving. It's time to do something with your lives. And we've made a choice to keep going. We've made a choice to either be good to one another or to be bad to one another. I like surrounding myself with those that try to be good. And I like to surround myself with people who believe that unconditional love has no conditions attached. And anyone who says otherwise really doesn't understand what unconditional love is and should try looking at a thesaurus before they pick up any scripture. But I tell you this, my friends, no matter how difficult it is, just get up, get moving, smile and look after each other, because that's all that really matters. Thank you all for listening, and God bless you all. Now, one of the things that we tend to do here is that we, for want of quoting Corinthians, we test the spirits. That's one thing that you can read and take good note of. Test the spirits. We're all living spirit, and they're all discarnate spirit, and if they really are so good at organising everything, then they should be able to decide who's going to do a reading, what it's going to be about, and have it tie in with the philosophy. So rather like many and have the reading and then do the philosophy based on the reading, we test the spirits. And so we do our philosophy and see if the reading is connected because they think it should be. And that's the point when we yell from here all the way up north, near a northern beach somewhere, Reverend Allen, are you there?
I certainly am, Nick.
And there he is. Oh, wonderful. So, Reverend Allen, what reading do you have for us tonight?
The reading tonight is one I have done before, some 18 months ago, but I was drawn to it, so I'm going to read it anyway. And it's called When. When eyes see beauty and ears hear laughter, when the senses are awakened to the day's fresh fragrances, when mouths speak only kind and guiding words, when arms embrace, when hands help, when fingers no longer point, when legs march only for peace, when feet dance in joy, when minds unite to create good, and there is respect for all, then the heart and soul will sing with love. Thank you very much.
Note to self, take the hearing aid out before everyone starts clapping. Now, friends, I think we can safely say that that did tie in extremely well regarding being nice to each other, looking after one another. There is no conferring between me and Alan, because not only is he miles away, I just haven't got the time. And I know that this young lady here doesn't even tell me the title. So she's got hers ready there before the demonstration. But Alan, thank you so much for that. And it's absolutely right. And I kind of inferred that there's always something new. So to read a reading that you've read before actually does confirm that as well, because chances are there's only a handful of people in this room who actually heard it that first time.
Absolutely.
Is that not true, Reverend Alan?
Yes, that's absolutely true.
I forgot the delay. Well, Alan, thank you ever so much for joining us again. Question, are you with us next week?
I do not know. I'm on standby for potato picking, so I really don't know. But I will let you know in good time.
No problem. Well, you look after those spuds, and the spuds will look after you. And thank you ever so much. We'll see you at the end, mate.
Okay, doc. Thank you.
God bless, my friend. See you soon. Reverend Alan, everyone! You know, when he moved, it was like, I don't know how we're going to, if I ever move, how am I going to carry on doing my readings? And then all of a sudden, boom, all of this. It's wonderful. Love it. Well, friends, now is that time in our service when we send out our healing thoughts to all those who are sick and suffering and in need of comfort. Of course, I've already said for consideration the name tonight, Tara is on the list. I'd also like to ask that Lynn and Kathy and family be added to your thoughts, and Philip, Wendy and their family also, could they be added to your thoughts? Now, sending out your healing thoughts is a form of mediumship, but it's really easy. It's just like praying without all the ritual and dogma. You just imagine the person that wants healing. Who? Isla. Isla, Louise's daughter. So there's another name to add to the list, please. Imagine the names, imagine the faces of the people that you know, and just send out your thoughts and ask that they be given upliftment, courage, healing sleep, rest, upliftment, whatever it is that that individual needs at the time. There's no chanting, there's no dancing. That comes later with the raffle. But it is just like prayer, and it really does work. So we start with the healing prayer, send out our thoughts, and whilst that is going on, there's some music that plays in the background to tell me when it's time to stop and say the word Amen. So friends, let's begin as we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother God, here we bring unto you all those who are sick and suffering and in need of comfort, be they sick in mind, body, or spirit, that it may please thee to heal them. This we ask for those we know, those we do not know, and those who have no one to ask for them. We ask for them now. Amen. Amen. Well, friends, today I would like to dedicate this service to a very special friend of mine who's in the spirit world today. I gave her a mention last week. On the 5th of October 2020, we received the news that my deacon, Wendy Perry, Reverend Wendy Perry, had passed beyond her burden and pain to the world of spirit and joined her daughter who had not long gone before her. And I don't want this dedication to be mardy and miserable and downtrodden and downhearted, but I specifically chose it to be said during the healing because it's the healing that was her true passion. Don't get me wrong, she was a bloody marvellous medium, but she was an excellent healer, and she loved to receive healing and give healing in equal measure. Her thoughts were always for that of others and the needs of others, even if it meant that we would sometimes claw the tails off of each other when we was trying to sort out things for the church. Because she knew, like so many, that I'm the most disorganized person in the universe. And I need chasing. And boy, did she chase me. And although she has 2 new apprentices keeping an eye on me, there will never be a chaser like Reverend Wendy, keeping me in check. And you'd think being my deacon, it was me in charge, but I don't think anyone ever really believed that, you know. And I know that one particular person in the room misses their arguments with her, usually about me, because she was training up my mum to do the bookings for the mediums as she did them when she eventually did pass. And she's doing a great job, you know. I'm sure she'd get a rollicking for something, but a pat on the back for another. And of course, there's someone else joining in beating me up now when I'm getting behind on stuff, which is very, very nice. But I know that each and every one of us here have their own personal affinity, love, and story to share about Wendy. And I know, Mandy, you've got quite a few. And you've shared them over the past few months and years, in fact. I'd like to share a little story that does actually tie in with Mandy, believe it or not. Because one thing that we all knew, and I know, Reverend Wendy, you're probably watching and listening and will kick me up the backside for what I'm about to say. But we all knew that when it came to raffle prizes, you could guarantee that Wendy would bring hundreds and hundreds of prizes of a mixture of both wonderful and also tagging along with the phrase of, what the hell am I going to do with that? Because she would collect everything and think, oh, that'll be good for a raffle one day. And then she'd bring it in and pop it down and think, what on earth is that? But she collected things. And this sums up Wendy, in all joking aside, completely. She would collect things and people and thoughts and pass it on, and it would carry on. Now, for those that don't know, I can sometimes be a little bit nifty with some acrylics and a brush. And I painted a lovely, what I thought was lovely anyway, a lovely picture of some dolphins that was up in my bedroom for about 2 years. Then we redecorated and decided it didn't match the colour scheme anymore. And I said, oh, I'll have to put that on the raffle. And Wendy said, don't you dare. And she put some money in the church hat and she had it for herself. Of course, was it shortly before or shortly after she passed? Shortly before she passed. She decided that she had had enough of mixed dolphins and she passed them on to Mandy. And so it's doing the rounds. You know, give it another couple of 100 years, it might be worth something. But it's currently now on display in Mandy's shop. Not for sale, I will add. But the thing about Wendy you could always guarantee is that she would collect things and people and take them with her. And when she got what she needed, she would share it with someone else. Be it a laugh, be it a joke, and trust me, those jokes could be blue. She beat me at that as well. And, you know, everyone thought I was the naughty one. She was worse. Everyone who knew her well enough can testify for that. And everyone underestimated Wendy, her strength, her courage, her determination. There's someone else poking fun and playing games at us left down here, playing upstairs with Wendy. And that's my dad, because he didn't underestimate Wendy. Everyone, because she was in a chair, because she was on a trolley, had a tendency to manage Wendy with kid gloves. Oh, let's be careful, let's be gentle, let's not too much pressure. There's a picture on our intro sequence of my dad with that sack barrow for the chairs, wheeling her around on her chair like it was a racetrack in this very hall. Because in spite of her difficulties, every morning she would get up and carry on and share everything that she had with the world. So, Reverend Wendy, I know you're listening. Carry on as you said you would. And this evening is dedicated Wendy Perry. And so now, friends, before our demonstration of mediumship begins, to give you all a rest from my voice, I'm now going to ask Sam to come up near the microphone and give us our second reading of the night. Samantha!
This is called Inner Strength by John P. Reed. It's only through mistakes we make we learn where we went wrong. It's only when we're far from home we realise where we belong. It's only when we close our eyes our dreams seem clear and bright. It's only in our darkest hours we truly see the light. It's only when we lose our way we pray to the stars above. It's only through times of grief we learn the true meaning of love. It's only when all hope seems lost, our weary journey seems so far, when all the world's against you, we learn how strong we are. All things are sent to try us. We must strive and give our best. I believe God is watching over us and he guides us in our quest. Thank you.
Wow. Talk about things tying in. Well, blimey, that was definitely a tie-in, both with the address and with our Wendy, because that sums her up to a T. So thank you for that. God bless you. So, friends, now is the time in our service when I'm going to hand over to me. Good evening, friends. Good evening. It's time for our demonstration of mediumship. So how does it work? We all sit down and chant and hope for a toffee crisp to float out of the lights. No, that's a joke, really. The way I work is different, again, as always, to other mediums. I don't know how many, I know a couple of you here at least have seen me work before. For you, I apologise. For everyone else, nah, it'd be fine, really. I just link in, get what I get, give what I get, and hopefully make a worthy and evidential connection to prove that life is indeed eternal. Should the medium come to you, please answer in a clear voice, yes, no, or don't know, not because he needs to hear it, but because everyone else is nosy. And we all like to know each other's secrets, but I promise that the way I work is that I will give you enough to know what you're going on in your life without everybody else knowing the details. Although having said that, I have given away the occasional pregnancy, wedding proposal, and they're very good at telling people who's left her a buttery knife on the sink and should really have washed up before they went home or left the building to come here, because whoever it is that's been with them and watching and wants to come through today really would not have tolerated that kind of information or that kind of thing happening, and would have certainly not expected it to happen. And there's one other thing that I do know. The ranting that I do before I make a connection ties in with the message I'm about to give. So somebody in the room is in trouble. Right, let's find out where I'm going. Okay. So as I make my first connection of the evening, thank you. I am indeed aware of, I expected as much, but you never can tell, a lady who's coming through on a maternal vibration, somebody who would have been a mother or grandmother, would have been very motherly at the very least. I do feel that it would have been mum or grandma and not just an association that felt like it, purely because of the closeness that I feel and also this inner knowledge of the person that I'm coming to. Thank you. I'm shrinking, so I know that this lady is shorter than me, and I'm still shrinking. When are you going to stop? Wow, okay. She would have come up to about here on me, and as I did, she's good, she knows this way of life, because as I do this, I was just literally rubbing my fingers through her hair. Curly, grey, salt and pepper, sorry. Somebody who did not like to be referred to as grey, so she would come up with various different shades and tones, from silver to foxy. Oh, I say, she was a bit naughty. Salt and pepper when she was feeling a little bit culinary, but she joked about the passage of the years. It never bothered her. She got through it with humour and upliftment. Can I come to you, please?
You can.
So you're the one who's left the washing up on the sink before you came out tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
And the knife.
Specifically a buttery knife. Oh, bless her. Thank you. Please be aware that the one person will be the most excited about yeses in the room tonight will be me. In actual fact, she would... Thank you. Okay, let's reel it back a bit. No, okay. Right, you could not keep her in order. She was worse than me. She would do what she wanted, when she wanted, as she wanted. And I'm saying, no, we need to get back and get more evidence to prove who you are. She knows it's me. You tell her all about this. It's okay, fine, no worries. We will get that evidence, I promise. But what she wants to come through is, in spite of all that jokingly laughing bit, there is a real serious edge coming through here. It's almost like she wants to tip you off that it's coming. And she would, even if it was just the expression on her face or the message that you received or whatever, she would always let you know that she was not going to be her perfect self today. And it was before, because, thank you, that really didn't make sense to me, but it does to you. So I need to understand it myself to carry on a little bit more. Because what I'm saying is, and what I'm seeing is, and what I'm hearing and what I'm feeling is, oh, it's all for tonight, lovely, excellent. Oh, of course, because I saw that. She's going to slap me if I keep ruffling her. No, actually, she's not, because was it you that used to ruffle her hair, or did she ruffle yours? Because and I can really feel her hair thick in my finger. It was really thick hair. It wasn't much of it, but it was kind of like wiry.
What, my hair?
No, hers.
Yeah.
I see. No wonder I can't get the fingers all the way. I can see that your hair is not wiry. Don't worry, you look gorgeous. She loves it because you've changed it since last she saw you two. And she's not talking about the colour, which is obvious, she said. She's really cruel and naughty. I do apologise in advance. It's not me, it's her, I blame her. What she is saying is that you would not, if you were a casual observer, know something was wrong. She would be the same as she always was. It's just that there was this, either this little tick or this little tone that would give away something was coming. Thank you. I needed to get that right and not just throw it in as a nonchalant way. It's got to be proven. Also, what I'm being made aware of, even though I'm feeling smaller than I am, I'm feeling a little bit more padded, but not much. And I do feel that reduced as the years went by. But there was always this, people are going to get in trouble. People are going to get in trouble because she now knows what everybody used to say. There was always this little bit here that Sailor wouldn't go no matter what. And people used to take the mic. Did they not?
Possibly.
Possibly.
I would, if they did.
She would never have been told about it, but she knows all about it because she can read your thoughts. Oh dear, aren't you in trouble? And this is her humour coming through. Oh dear, oh we're in trouble now. And I do feel she was a finger wagger. I don't like pointing my fingers. Absolute rudeness, but pointing a finger and pointing a finger. And she, you shouldn't have said that earlier. You did mention about hearing music. She loved music. She loved to listen, but she didn't always stick to the lyrics. Sometimes she would change them to her own ends. Would you understand that? You're not sure.
She would hum when I was younger. She would hum.
Because what I'm getting is that sometimes she would mishear the lyrics and say them wrong when she was repeating. Oh, how can you say that in church? Especially with hymns. Especially with hymns. I made a comment that she's aware of this way of life earlier on. I'm not getting to a great degree, if truth be told, but she was aware of this way of life, so it made it easier for her to be able to communicate. But that affinity with songs, now you know where they're coming from, is all I would say. So if you get the occasional wrong lyric, you know that it's definitely her, and that will be your confirmation from that. I'm also being, okay, something to do with this hand specifically, it feels different. Would she have had a stroke?
She did towards.
Because I'm feeling like I'm leaning one-sided, and that's usually a good indication. It starts in the hand, and then the rest of me starts going. So I'll give that as just certain. What I can say to you is, here it comes. You could tell when I went quiet for a second because there's that pause that she gives when she switches between happy, nutty to serious. She says it's not what you think. Because apparently you've been thinking over the last few weeks / months, what would she say about this? What would she do about this? Am I in trouble? No, you're not, because you did exactly what you needed and were supposed to do. Leave that alone. What she's concerned about is that you're going too much in this way with people around you, in the going quiet and not revealing until you're ready, rather than asking for help at that time. Because that was one of her nuances, and it tied in with this side of her personality. And that's what frustrated everyone about her, because what I'm getting is there were a lot of questions about could things have been done differently. The answer is no. All that would have happened is that everyone would have worried me. Because you know you're worried. And I felt like I really understood, you know you're worried. But she recognises that was not fair and it took away your choices and your ability to be of comfort, if nothing else. So avoid taking that kind of path yourself in life and be a little bit more open and honest with the people around you about how you're feeling. As with every person in the world of spirit, if you would have listened to their advice on earth, go for it. If you would have avoided their advice and thought, oh my God, what utter trite, then you've still got the option to ignore it because it's still advice. And just because we pass to the higher realms, we don't suddenly become all-knowing. And she turned around and said, I didn't need to, I already was. And then instantly the happy, jumpy, dancey is back. And what she wants you to know is that she wants to bring that side of her to you, because you can be really done. You see her in all of her serious modes, apart from when she's got an orange face, of course. But she really is a chip off the old block. Just make sure that the chip doesn't stay there and carries down all the way, because that was her mistake. You carry on being you, just make sure everybody else knows it. I have to give, I just smell irises, so I have to give you iris, either as a flower or as a name.
That's a very good flower.
Thank you. So, and I also have to give, see, I have this little internal calendar. It's absolutely rubbish for my own life, but they're really good at using it. I have to give you in the teens of man as an anniversary in connection with yourself or her, and also the 3rd of November.
Okay.
And what's that? There's a locket.
I have it.
Good.
I have it.
Good. And with that, I'll say thank you for listening. God bless you.
Thank you.
Quick rinse, see who's coming next. Oh, she's still there. She keeps whispering my saying, "Go on, say it," and I'm saying what she's. Is there anybody there? She's naughty and I love it. Yeah, she's going to hang around. I know it. Is there anybody? She said if I do it, she'll give me a toffee crisp. Bless you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I have a gentleman coming through now. Bless his heart. I feel a little bit more serious, but there is also still a good sense of humour, because as he linked in with me, all I heard was, sounds like you could use a rest and just a slowing down of pace for a minute or two. Let me help you with that. And he's got this very deep and soothing voice. And although he commands authority and discipline, there's just such this gentle, peaceful, restful, soothing side. And do you know what? I don't very often get someone like this. You either get someone who's absolutely militarial, or there's someone who's absolutely, hippie in bluegrass. But he's a combination of. Can I come to you? Would you understand a gentleman that fits that? Okay. He really, really is. It's like 1 minute he's like, and the next minute is, and it's really, really quite hard to get my head round, because normally when you feel someone's personality joining with yours to identify who they are, there's usually some sort of flow. But I do feel that in spite of everything I've said previously about him, there was this level of erraticness about him that not a lot of people could figure him out because of those two different sides of his personality. I am feeling very nurturing towards you, so I want to say father, grandfather, erring on the side of grandfather, even though he says you've got the same colour hair, it comes to us all, don't worry, dear. So he has got a sense of humour as well, that's great. I love people to come through with a sense of humour, because wouldn't life be boring? And that's exactly his message. wouldn't life be boring if everything was all so serious all the time? Yes, be serious when you need to be, when you have to be. But the rest of the time, take the weight off your slingbacks and light something up. That's all I'm saying, and enjoy life. And that kind of sums him up, I feel, in his outlook on life. And you used to be more of the relaxed version, but you're becoming more of the steel and sword version, he's saying. And he's a little bit peeved about that. He says, okay, what am I doing? He says, you need a holiday in the Bahamas. There is a, right, okay. He's talking about wanting to have the band of flowers around him. Apparently there is a picture somewhere of either him or you looking like that with a wreath of flowers. That ring of flowers, what are they? There's a specific name, isn't there?
Flower ring.
Thank you.
A
ring of flowers, what's it called? A flower ring. Yes, a picture of either yourself or him with a flower ring around it. Well, look out for it. Either that, you're off to the Bahamas, darling. Love to see you in a grass skirt. He would love to see you in a grass skirt. He says, what I would make sure is that when you were on the driest, sandiest part of the beach, I would blow. Because he had got a really wicked sense of humour. And thank you. This is lesson for anyone wanting to be a medium. Never judge the spirits that are coming through, because they will always slap you down. Because of his stern exterior, because of his age and generation, I really would not have expected him to have got on very well with me for my personality and my life. However, not a problem. That's why he was saying about blowing the sand up your rascal. Just as his way of saying, who gives a? And that was, I feel like that was kind of a catchphrase, who gives one? And it used to be yours until you decided that you gave one. And he says, enough! I will have you standing up against the wall with your shoulders back, with a book on your head, balancing books on your arms, and doing all those silly things that people do to put discipline in you. If you don't, just relax. Loosen up. It's really, just seeing this man standing there doing, loosen up, man. And he would emulate the generations below him. And that's why he did that for him. It's like, loosen up, man. To see him doing that is absolutely hilarious. I wish you could all see it. It's brilliant. And that's what I love about this way of life. Because he's been able to identify. He's been able to identify where he is most useful in the universe. And providing that kind of advice and support would be one of them. I know you've been aware of him. I know you've seen him, but it's always been on a personal, informal basis. That may change, because he's now done his training and is ready to step into those shoes. And he says, yes, they're still slingbacks, they're still soft, and they're still Jesus creepers, and whatever I want to wear at the time. One of the wonderful things about mediumship is you can get away with saying what you want and just blame them. And that was his words. And that's how you need to be. Just blame me. Blame me. Blame them. We don't mind. We'll get you back for it eventually. But that's his personality again, of this using humour to reach out to you. Because yes, he is aware that, going back to the address, getting up in the morning can be a bit of a pain sometimes. And there have been times that the covers have, no. But you still do it. You still manage it. And this is why he is so pleased to be able to offer his support and service to you. I have to give you 5 sniffing tonight. That's a I don't know what this is, but I'm just getting a really pungent smell of something that grows, and I don't know what it is. I would have said tomato plants, but I've been down that route before and been burned. But I say no more. And it just went, ooh. God, why is it always me? Why? But also, I have to give you, that is a memory link, thank God. Thank you. The 9th of February is an important date, but also the 9th coming. There's something planned or going on, don't quite know what, but the 9th of, what is it? The 7th or 8th? It's the 7th today, isn't it? Mm. So you only got 2 days to find out, so you've got one. You can let me know. But there's something, the 9th of this month is just... Something he didn't very often do, I feel, is get the medals out. No. But he says if anyone deserves one, it's you. So he has to have his own way. So what he's done is he's literally come up to this tablecloth and snipped a bit of cloth off, and he's gone out to the garden and picked a daisy and stapled the daisy to the bit of cloth and said, that's it, that's the medal you can have. Because as much as it's a sign of his way of not liking that sort of thing, it's a recognition for you, but it also sums him up that he would be able to grab any. He would have been great in the 18 and he would have given MacGyver a run for his money because he could pull together 15 packets of straws, some baling twine, and a bag of chips, and suddenly, look, there, you've got a car! And that was him through and through. And, you know, he says, also, the meaning of the colour and the meaning of the flower is part of the reward. And I will say, God bless you, and thank you for listening. Okay. His sense of humour has just come back in because he's saying, right, now where is she? He's gone after your lady. He said, I'll keep her talking in the corner so she doesn't interfere anymore all night. I don't call it interfering. I thought it was wonderful. Okay. As I link in, I'm feeling a very nervous energy coming through. Someone who would not have been a nervous person outwardly, but would have been extremely nervous inwardly, and that would be known to those closest to him. Outwardly, you know, cock of the walk, jack of all trades, the life and soul of the party, but inwardly, there was this nervousness, but in particular, there is a nervousness about coming through tonight, specifically. Thank you. I've prided myself over the last 20 years of being a medium, of being a relatively young medium. So I used to enjoy saying he's a young person like myself. But his sense of humour does shine through when he says, nah, mate, you've got plenty of years on me. So I would say that I'm going back age-wise. I'm feeling, oh, hang on, this is nice. One of the great things about being able to feel like the spirit person that you're talking to is when they're a little bit taller and a little bit skinnier than you coming through. And younger, and younger. I've got to go back to this nervousness about coming through tonight. It's not just nervousness that this is you know, a different environment that he wouldn't necessarily have been. Yes, you can say you. Right, his sense of humour is coming through because he's saying, I would never have been sitting dead in a place like this, and yet here I am. So he's got a very dark sense of humour, but he's nervous about using that dark sense of humour because of the situation and the way everybody else feels about his loss. But he wants whoever it is that he's coming through to know that that humour is still there and that he is still himself. The nervousness is just about, this is the first, I've got to come over here somewhere. Would anyone understand a young person like that? No, maybe he's just taking an interest. Would anyone understand this Am I coming?
Possibly.
I do apologise. Also, I got the nervousness because he's not very often been around me, and most people are used to being around me when they've been coming a few weeks, but I know that you haven't been coming a few weeks. I assumed, see, never assume. Let Spirit guide you. You would understand that his humour would have been dark enough to say, I wouldn't be seen dead in this place, and here I am anyway. You would understand that there was difficulty in his passing for everyone, him and everyone left behind, in particular for him. And I don't mean just because he passed away, but I'm talking about the events that led up to that passing. This is what I meant about being subtle when it comes to private information. They're good like that. Actually, he's very good like that because he was always good at keeping things quiet, but he shouldn't have done. He says, I could keep secrets, but not from everyone. And he just put his head on one side, as if to say, you could see right through the bravado. And you could see right through the... I can't say that, this is a divine service. He would have said, you could see through all the shit. Yeah. Say it as it is. Rule number one, give what you get. And I am specifically standing with my hand here for a reason. Because his heart is bursting to be able to talk to you. And I know that there's an element of that with you too. And there's a few people that would like that opportunity as well. But you get the opportunity and you get the chance. And it's really quite pleased about that. Thank you. I kind of get two versions of him, physically as well as emotionally. There's that jack of the lad, and then there's the nervous energy, but also physically as well. I've got this really strong, powerful, young man, but then I've also got this very wiry and thin and weak and feeble young man as well. And that was the hardest thing for him, above everything else, as recognising and dealing with that himself, because he wanted to be this, and he couldn't handle being this. And you were aware of that difficulty with him, as many people were, but specifically, he's saying you'd seen, I don't know what this means, it's for you anyway, you'd seen it all before. I don't know what that means, and if you can't accept it, then just hold on to it for a minute. But it's like you'd experience his situation with someone else, or someone else who you'd heard about it within the family. It seems like something went through the family regarding, or it was perceived to have. It was perceived to have gone through the family. This level of... Does that play? Because I have to say, he's really very good at getting his thoughts and feelings across for someone who hasn't been gone that long, you know, on the grand scheme of things, and someone who hasn't got all of these huge years of experience on earth to be able to emote all of these wonderful messages of heavenly upliftment and all of the reflections of the world in the spirit that he could give to you. You know, that's all here. It's like people would have expected him to be able to come back and tell you this and tell you that. And he says, there are some things that I'm not going to share. And there are some things that I still haven't dealt with to be able to share. But then neither have you. But if we both recognise it, perhaps that's something we can work on. But he brings back this sense of humour, because I did reference the whole wonderful spiritual knowledge and visions of the afterlife that he wanted to share, you know, in his own sense of humour. Should I really say that? Okay, he says, you do know that the gates aren't really made of pearl, but it's probably a good thing, really, because it would come off quite easily. It's just that sense of humour. I wonder if it would be worth a bit if it was made of pearl. Where's my screwdriver? And all that sort of, you know, wonderful personal humour that he had. And it wasn't always as self-deprecating as it came across, because sometimes it was being deadly serious. Okay. But one genuine piece of spiritual enlightenment that he does want to share is that, yes, there were two people that came to greet him and help him over. Two very specific people that he was very pleased to see, because his first words were, yes, she came for me. He's not telling me who, but there were two people, and one of them was a she that specifically came. And the reason I can't know anything is because it's personal, okay, but you've wondered who would have been there. And yes, she was one of them. I like you, you've got my sense of humour. He says, but I tell you what, when that big bright light shines and that person steps out of it, he was shorter, he was fatter, and he had darker skin. Wasn't what I expected at all, until he explained to me that the person that everyone else was talking about was some... oh, come on, I can't really say that, can I? Okay, fine. I like him. He says, nobody told me that bloke that I was expecting to see was actually the rent boy of Leonardo da Vinci, not the actual bloke. But there you go. And he finds real humour in that. And for someone of his age, once again, you should not assume. But once again, he finds that funny, and there's no malice involved. He was a really welcoming soul who would allow anyone into his life, so long as they did exactly what I was talking about earlier. Be nice to one another. That's all he cared about. If you were cruel, you were callous, you were heartless, you would just leave this brick wall. If you were kind and generous and decent, but sometimes made a few mistakes, he would welcome people with open arms. And that really is a beautiful soul, and that is why the short, fat, dark-skinned man came to say hello when that time came. For those that don't know, I am actually talking about Jesus. It does happen. But he is short, he is slightly plumper than the pictures, and he definitely had a lot darker skin than an Italian in Renaissance Italy. Coming from, you know, he would have, joking aside, he would have understood things like that. He was more knowledgeable than let on about the world. He says, I might have gone to the University of Google, but there's a lot you can pick up. And he still, thank you for that. He still defied people's expectations. And he still does today. Because the fact is, he has been seen in this place. And you would there are those, you might have expected it, you might have hoped for it, but there's a lot of people that would have said, no way would he set foot in there and talk to that woman. But he has, because he didn't care what people looked like or sounded like or spoke like, so long as they wanted to help people. And that is the most wonderful gift. And he now knows, and you now know, that he has the opportunity to continue being that kind and helpful person from up there. He says, but just remember, closing the curtains won't stop you people in this time. And on that note, I will say, give. Friends, I'm sorry I didn't get around many more people. I do apologise, but you know what it's like when I open my gob. I can't shut up and I get going, especially when the people that are coming through like to talk 10 to the dozen. But that does bring us pretty much to the end of our evening. As my guide said, look at the clock. I was like, oh God, have I done it again? Okay, so thank you all for listening. I hope that by listening in to the messages that have been given, you might have seen a little bit of the proof of spirit. And for those that did get a message, I hope that I did their relatives and friends justice and gave you enough evidence to prove that there is life indeed eternal. But on that note and on that point of the demonstration of mediumship, God bless you all and thank you for listening. And for those that were wondering and have sat in development circle and saw that Nick was drinking an awful lot before the service proper began for the mediumship, I didn't fill it up during the demo. I filled it up just before, and there's still a little bit left. So, what's the old saying? Cheers. Thank you for saying that, because my guide was saying up yours. Okay, in case you hadn't realised, I really don't stand on ceremony. Friends, thank you all for listening. Can somebody please remind me what I do now, because my mind is still in mediumship mode. What is it next? Thank you. That's it. There you go. I should have left myself a list. Normally, I'm in the flow and in the zone, but I was in a different zone and on a different planet, and frankly, on another plane of existence, which is sometimes quite fun. Especially meeting the lovely people that I've met tonight, and they really were wonderful, wonderful people. And they're probably all playing a game of cards and having something a little bit stronger than this behind the curtains as we speak. So whilst they do that, let's behave ourselves and close this service in prayer. And then we can go home and have a glass of something stronger. Great Spirit, Father, Mother God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as friends, to unite under your banner of love and friendship, and I hope witness that life is indeed eternal. I thank you for the opportunity to be your instrument, to provide hope and upliftment to the world, for that is a service that everyone should experience at least once in their life. And I am grateful for being given the chance to do that. As far as everything else, Great Spirit, please shine your love and light on each person here present, all those watching at home, and the friends and families that they represent, and help us to remember, of course, that no matter how difficult the day, no matter how difficult the path, we ask not that you move the mountain, just give us the strength to climb. Until we meet again in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Now, friends, notices. See, I'm back. I'm back on planet Earth. How boring. Next week, we got a special night. It really is wonderful to be able to say this. Coming all the way from Rotherham, the Reverend Tony Swindles, who is another online bouffon of mediumship, is going to be standing right here behind the purple table of joy. Reverend Tony, believe it or not, right, we've been friends, acquaintances, associates. Technically, as far as the New Christian Spiritualist Society is concerned, I'm his boss, but we've been mates for the last, 2 years now. He joined up the society just before the pandemic kicked in. He started his development. He started his training to be a minister. He carried on, of course, doing his wonderful demonstrations of mediumship. And he's been ordained. We've served together. He's served this church as medium. He's chaired for this church. And yet I've never actually been in the same room as him until next week, when all that changes. He's bringing the lovely Jean Pearson with him as well. And I'm very much aware that Michael, the controller of everything behind the curtain, behind the scenes, will also be joining him down here. They are coming down on the caravan. They're loading up the wagons as we speak, getting ready to join us. They're coming down and they're staying overnight, and they will be here, and he and Jean will be serving us next Thursday. Live in Littleport Village Hall will be Reverend Tony Swindles. So what a wonderful greeting of minds that's going to be. You know, the amount of times we've spoken, bitched about people and things, the universe in particular, sometimes getting on the nerves, but it's always been with great love and great compassion, and I know that we will be very, very pleased to make his acquaintance in the physical sense next week. And I know Michael will make a joke about that, so I'm just going to ice over it and go straight past it. But friends, do join us next week for what instills to be a very entertaining night, because if you think we're bad enough when there's about 100 miles between us, God knows what it's going to be like when there's 2 feet between us. But that's for next week. For this week, I'd like to thank you all for being part of this night. Thank you to Mum for looking after the door, of course, up there, always behaving yourself and keeping me in check. Of course, thank you to Jack for being the one person in the universe week in, week out, when it's not his mother, saving me from technology. Thank you, of course, to Sam and Hannah and Bully and Henry looking after the second half of the Raffle and Bully special prize. And, of course, my very, very adept and wonderful, wonderful camera lady, Mandy, whom didn't have too much of her work cut out for her tonight compared to last week, I'm sure, although I probably did give her a good run for her money. And, of course, thank you to all of you for being here and sharing this night. You are the congregation. You are the bricks and mortar of this church. You are what matters most. And I'm very grateful, because if you weren't here, I'd just be some nut job stood here talking to himself, like I am the rest of the week. So thank you.
Thank you, Nick Brown.
Okay, Gordon's over that corner now. Now I know why I'm back on terra firma, because Gordon's gone to see his other mate and making her laugh naughty at me. Okay, so friends, it's that one particular moment in time where I have to say one last thank you. To Reverend Alan in his reading, of course, all the way up there. Are you there, Alan? Thank you very much. Reverend Alan, of course. So I didn't forget you, Alan. I just got interrupted. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I know, don't Nick?
See, he's still there listening. You're all right, mate. You all right?
Fine.
Have you have you enjoyed your evening, dear?
Of course.
The delay makes it really sound like he's taking the mick out of me. The truth is, he doesn't need a delay to take the mick out of me. Do you, Alan?
Would I ever take the mickey out of unit?
Bless you. Well, thank you, Alan, for being with us tonight. And thank you to everyone at home as well for tuning in, week out, for supporting us. And so now I am handing over for the first full time, because this is the last you'll hear of me, apart from the closing words, of course. I'm handing over to Prize Corner, Sam, Hannah, Bully and Henry. 6, 3, 4. 6, 3, 4. Who's got 6, 3, 4? Somebody must have. Hey, so you get first pick. See, we've got a unicorn water bottle, and there's all the prizes are here. Just don't take any of the equipment, darling. All across. There you go. Take your pick, dear. Take your pick. 6, 3, 8.
6, 3, 8.
Oh, what do you want, mother?
How do you have a unicorn?
You got it there for me.
Right, give it a tumble dry, and who's our next winner? 6, 5, 7.
6, 5, 7.
Hey! Oh, look at you. 2 easy in a row. There you go. Take your pick, my love. Oh, it's going to have to be cheeky. Oh, it is. You can't beat multi. Other multi-chocolate sweets are available.
9, 7, 4. 6, 7, 4.
6, 7, 4. Hey, lovely. So you've got choices, 3 choices. 3 choices left. I was not saying. 3, 3. 6, 3, 3.
Put it back.
Oh, time for the tumble dryer. Time for the tumble dryer. Who's next?
Please.
6, 8, 3.
Thank you very much.
Lovely. So there is some lovely scents or some heroes. I
think it's going to go for the.
think. Oh.
So much generosity.
And you can really feel. Can you feel the love tonight?
It's like Christmas come early.
What we got now? 6, 3, 5. Put it back. But I know why you're putting it back. Right, one more. Come on.
Come on, let me.
You've got to give it away. Give it away to someone who donates it.
6, 3, 2.
6, 3, 2. Okay, one more time. Come on.
Oh, go on.
6, 9, 2.
6, 9, 2. Now, isn't it funny that somebody who came through likes smelling things a bit different? I'm sure it wasn't lavender and aloe vera that I smelled earlier. In actual fact, I've got a whiff of the outside when I was on the way to get the milk as well. But that's another story. For the time being, oh, that word, time. Hannah, what time is it?
Oh, it's not just that as well. As Tony Green used to say.
Boy, special prize goes to...
649.
Who's got 649? 649. So tonight's in-course, well, you know what, you're giving it away all the time. And remember what we were discussing earlier about seeing things, and you were seeing a lot of things in there. Every week, Hannah, bless her heart, gets the iron and the wax out and makes this in-course stick-up. And every single week, she gives it away as the final prize in the raffle. Gives it away as the final prize in the raffle. You give away all your work freely with wonderful messages built into the art that is there. So it's about time Mum had one. Which lady over there?
You said.
I've been told this is specifically for you. Well, friends, bless the Raffle corner and bless the love and the generosity that's been flying around here tonight. Well, I'm going to go and stand over here because it's that final moment when I remind everyone that the shutter to the kitchen is open, and that's the closest I've got since January to saying that. So please do stay for tea, coffee, biscuits, refreshment. We've got juice if that's what you want. We haven't got anything stronger than the water, unfortunately. That was taken by our 3 communicators tonight behind the curtain. If you want to brave it, you're a greater person than I. But until next week, may the peace of the Great Spirit go with you all. But until next time, God bless you, good night, and thank you all. God bless.